Good day, everyone. My name is Roger Optional, a Bachelor of Science in Secondary Education major in Science and students studying at Mindanao State University Buug Campus. And today's video, I'm going to recite my speech regarding the disadvantages in staying at home during this pandemic time. The recent coronavirus diseases 2019 pandemic outbreak has forced many countries to adopt specific policies, which is lockdown, which reduces the spreading of infection of many countries who have COVID-19. During this pandemic time, many lives of people affected, destruction, suffering, and become vulnerable because of these viruses. The adjustment is hatred because many works and businesses of people are affected. This time of whole pandemics give more insufficient life because a lot of problems come and a lot of adjustment for everyone and anytime. These situations where we encounter give lesson to situation affect myself being a student. This crisis build a more suffer of people around the world because from time to time the cases is rising up and many lives are wasted because rather of the COVID-19 pandemic. This issue give more impact, especially in the Philippines. Filipino people are wasted their lives to help their co-Filipino citizens, especially doctors, who find ways to prevent this pandemic. Along the way, many Filipino people are suffering outraged presence of morality because even we face this crisis, many people become unresilient to find ways to sustain their needs in life. But the presence of peace, sovereignty for everyone must remain strong and high so that we are not afraid to fight this crisis. Furthermore, the crisis build a lesson for us to see the situations come in a reality which is facing COVID-19 pandemic. So now, this is my experiences during this pandemic up to this crisis is going on. So, the first disadvantages of staying at home during this pandemic is having a hard time in learning. So most of the children and students are accepting their challenges to themselves for learning. Most of the students accept their and face their fear in learning because many students, children, and especially parents doing their best in able to teach their children in learning. Aside from parents also having more difficulty, especially uneducated parents. But the question is, how they able to manage this situation? But as parents, they do their parts even we're having a hard times. In my situation, as a student, I suffer from this because I tried this situation to cope up all my process in learning as well as my siblings lesson in learning. Then I am the one to teach them during this pandemic, but I also do this not for myself but the rest of my family who have having hard times in learning. So let's proceed to the second one. The second disadvantages of staying at home during this pandemic is wasted more time in an important matter. These situations are commonly to get involved children and students who did not value education of learning but valuing for nothing. Settle for less learning than educating. Some students are accept the fact with fear to overcome these challenges, but I think most of the time, children are enjoyed to do this situation. For me, who also students, and I give more time in unnecessary things rather than do all my homeworks, my activities, projects, and requirements. But but now I assure to myself that I do all my important aspects of life, especially educating because of this pandemic. So now, let's proceed to the third one. The third disadvantages of staying at home during this pandemic is spending more time in playing rather than valuing a household chores. This kind of disadvantages in staying at home mostly performed by children because a lot of children most of the time playing most of the time. Many children's neighbor or relatives to build a strong potential accept aspect of team building relationship differ from co-children. Aside from answering their modules, they prepare to play more time with their friends. That's how I see my sibling during this crisis. But as an eldest brother rather, I always value my time for learning because I am also a student and I want to grow their knowledge from even I am not a perfect teacher but a good brother to them. Let's proceed to the fourth disadvantages of staying at home during this pandemic. The fourth disadvantages of staying at home during this pandemic is less of knowledge in home-based learning. This situation can affect for everyone who is learning. To those children and students who is eager to learn but having a hard time because home learning is a different from school learning. When children or students go to school for learning, it's more self-commitment to be able to learn and grow their skills and talent to show. If having a hard time, you can easily call the attention of teacher to solve the situation. But in reality now, because of this new normal, the education of children and students are home-based. If a children having a hard times, you can easily call the attention of the parents. It is because they are busy for work. The attention of the parents are less time for teaching the children because the parents did not know the lesson is. So as a teacher of my siblings, I do my best to support them if having a hard time to answer their modules or online classes in their schooling. Let's proceed to the fifth and last disadvantages of staying at home during this pandemic. So fifth is loss of self-courage, competency, self-motivation, and self-competency. This situation can affect the lead to self-inactive active because of this situation. Moral, physical, spiritual, and even emotional, these things must needed in this disadvantages in our situation, especially myself. A lot of discouragement and time to perform that I all needed in school because of my laziness lead sometimes to do the works if the said requirements is to be passed by this time or this day. The self-actualization is not regularly function because I love to perform well. Even myself, I also experiences this to do not on time my requirements. Maybe it is because there is no specific time to pass my all requirements, not like in the face-to-face the pressure is in. But the laziness is makes up so that's why I having a less of time to spend my efforts and full dedication in learning. But now I change myself for the better. I do it for in a correct way. I didn't hesitate all my requirements and projects to pass on time. And what I've learned is all we are all human. We must obey the rules and regulation so that we must save all times. We must not pressure this time because I know God has purpose for us and I know these things are this time pandemic not last forever. We always pray and wait the God's miracle to bless our nation to stop spreading these viruses all around the world. We must help each and everyone by supporting the implemented rules for us, especially the government who is obeying this and prohibited this all different rules and regulation to avoid and minimize the cases around the world who is suffering the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, this is Roger Optional a Bachelor of Science in Secondary Education student, studied at Mindanao State University Buug Campus. And that's all about the disadvantages of staying at home during this pandemic time. So God bless us all and thank you so much.